Wasi, my beautiful people, this is your boy Stefan, your Afro-Grenadian ambassador. I welcome you all back to my channel. To all my subscribers, viewers, channel members, I appreciate you. And do not forget to watch all the ads that are placed on my videos. I greatly appreciate it. Well, I do apologize, guys, if my background is a bit atmospheric. It's night here in Grenada, and usually the crickets are out, singing in the numbers. So that is when you know you are in the Caribbean. But in today's video, my friends, Britain is arguing that they should not be paying reparations. They should not be paying for something that their ancestors did. They are arguing, why should they pay for something that their ancestors did? Why should they be paying for something that they have not been alive when it happened? So in today's video, we're going to take a listen to a British panel discussion on reparations. And I must tell you that the level of arrogance, ignorance, and disrespect when it comes to reparations was appalling. So guys, without no further delay, let us take a listen to why Britain is saying they should not pay reparations.
£19 trillion reparations to compensate for the horrors of slavery. Now, it has been indicated that the British government won't be paying them this money. But when you think about Britain hating Starmer, he's guilt-ridden about the empire. You can see the way he is, like what he did with the Chagos Islands. You wonder, the government says it won't be paying this money, but you wonder if they'll stick to this. You wonder if secretly old Britain hating Starmer might start handing money to these nations that demand reparations. I say, absolutely not. Don't be ridiculous. No one alive, no one living.
Now, let me just say this, and I'm speaking again about the level of disrespect. If you can, pay a notice of what he's saying, is that we are asking for $19 trillion, and that's a fact. The Commonwealth, I don't even want to say Commonwealth nation, because I don't think we are Commonwealth. Commonwealth is a British terminology, as for ownership. But apart from that, there was a Commonwealth meeting with all the Caribbean islands, and we demanded $19 trillion. And he's saying that why should, as he's saying, it's like handing over. He used the word handing over. Why should we hand over this amount of money to those Caribbean nations that are asking for that? But, well, let me say this. It is not free money that they are giving to us. This is not free money that we are asking for. This is money that was worked for, by our enslaved foreparents. These are money that was earned through blood, sweat, and tears, and all the sufferings that our foreparents went through. So it is not free money, So let's take a listen again to what he's saying.
Is responsible for the slavery that the Caribbean nations suffered. So why should we pay for something we didn't do? I think we should say to these nations, no ifs, no buts, stop asking us for reparations for something that we knew nothing about, that happened before we were alive, because we're not going to pay you.
So guys, can you see the level of ignorance and arrogance and disrespect? He's asking, why should we pay? And this is the excuse that these people continue to use in order to justify that they should not pay for something that their ancestors did. And the first thing they would say, we weren't alive at that time, so we shouldn't be bearing the consequences of what our ancestors did. And he's asking, why should we pay for something that we did not do? Well, The reason that you should be paying for something, yes, that you were not alive at that time, but you as the descendants are enjoying what your ancestors took away from our ancestors. You have inherited it, and you are enjoying it today. There are, to this day, there are former slave owners, slave masters, plantation owners who are descendants of them that are enjoying the wealth of their people. You know, they are to this very day, there are Europeans that are basking themselves, in luxury at the expense of slavery and all the horrific things that our ancestors have went through on the plantation here in the Caribbean, in North America, in South America. So, sir, I have to say, this is the reason why, you know, you should be paying reparations, because you guys are enjoying the wealth. That is how come you guys became wealthy as a European nation. That is how the UK is enjoying the wealth that they're enjoying today, all at the expense of what our ancestors went through. So that is why you should be paying reparations.
Let's talk to author and sociologist Frank Furedi. Hello, Frank.
How are you?
I'm very well. What are your feelings about this? I mean, Caribbean nations, or lots of nations around the world, continue to demand reparations for slavery. There are two things about this. First of all, Britain is the country responsible for the abolition of slavery. We set the ball rolling, something like, I think, if I'm trying to remember, 30, 40 years before America got on board.
And that is another excuse that they use, that they have abolished slavery. So they're saying that, yes, we enslaved your people, but at the same time, we rescued your people, because the fact that we abolished slavery. But the reason for that, or the true reason for the abolishment of slavery, is what they do not tell you. The reason why the Europeans were forced to abolish slavery is because so much of rebellion was taking place in the Caribbean. You had rebellion taking place in Haiti. You had rebellion taking place in Jamaica. They were enslaved Africans. Rebellion that was taking place in the smaller islands like Grenada, St. Vincent, Dominica, in Guyana. A lot of rebellions were taking place. The enslaved Africans were getting tired and fed up, and there was a series of rebellion taking place in the Caribbean, and it was coming to an extent where the Europeans or the British couldn't contain it anymore. So they were forced to abolish slavery. That is the reason why they have abolished slavery. If it wasn't for this, I think today we would not have been here sitting and talking about the abolishment of slavery.
And secondly, I just think it's insane to expect a nation like Britain and other Western nations to hand over money for a punishment for something that none of us are responsible, that no one living is responsible for. That strikes me as not logical. It strikes me as kind of insane. So I'm saying it's time to tell these Caribbean nations, stop asking us for this, because it's nonsensical and we will never pay you.
Well, I think it's a bit of a...
So, guys, can you hear the arrogance here? These people insist that they will not pay us. That is why we have to continue the fight. We have to continue. That is the reason why, my black brothers and sisters, throughout the diaspora, it doesn't matter where you are, where you are on, or which continent you are on, which island you are on, which country, wherever you are, it is important that we set aside the distraction in quarreling and fighting among each other and unite, because this is what we are up against. This is the unfairness and unjust system that we are up against. They insist that they will not pay us.
So it's a kind of a case of it's basically sort of getting the head to go around and basically hustling for money. But it seems to me that what is really horrible here is that for over a couple of decades, they've been trying to make people in Britain and other Western nations feel guilty for something that their ancestors centuries ago might have done. And there seems to be this idea that it doesn't matter that there's been a different era, that the centuries have gone by. You and I and anybody else are no less responsible for what happened 300 years ago than the people who lived at that time.
You should feel guilty, sir, because you are enjoying the wealth that your ancestors stole from our ancestors. So you should feel guilty. You have to bear the responsibility. And for those of us who are spiritual, remember in the Bible itself records that God held the children of Israel responsible for what their ancestors did. There were a lot of people in biblical times, nations in biblical times, especially Israel, suffered for the wrongs of their ancestors. And God told them, unless you don't repent on the behalf of what your ancestors did, you will remain in captivity. And so you should feel guilty. It is you we have to call out, because we are, to this very day, we are still suffering, and you are the wealthy ones.
And I think it's a case that having guilt tripped Britain about being like the source of global racism, and having invented this idea that somehow we are inherently responsible for all the bad things that are still going on in the Caribbean, there seems to be this victim narrative that basically means that they can demand a blank check, not just now, but forever. Because should any government be stupid enough to give even a dime, even 10 pence for this cause, then they'll be back tomorrow or the day after tomorrow for decades.
So, guys, do you see the level of disrespect? Now, some of these people, they are very sarcastic. He's saying that the government should be stupid enough in giving us a penny. In other words, he's saying that we here in the Caribbean asking for that amount is a stupid, how to say, request to make. They are actually saying that we are stupid, and it is ridiculous to ask for such amount. Yeah, we need to learn to read between the lines.
Decades to come, arguing that the problem is still there, we're still traumatized, we still haven't overcome the impact that slavery has had on us, and therefore you have got to have an obligation to provide us with more money. And if Britain goes in and accepts this kind of hustle and becomes complicit in perpetuating it, then it's going to be not only...
Really? Guys, we have to... Are you paying attention to this? Accept this kind of hustle? What do you mean, sir? What? This is not a hustle we are trying to make. We are not beggars. We here in the Caribbean, we are not begging you for something that does not belong to us. We are demanding for something that belongs to us. It is rightfully ours. The reparations rightfully belong to us, because our ancestors worked hard for it. They worked hard, free of charge. And today, the descendants of those Africans back then are demanding those reparations. So it's not a hustle we are trying to make. We are not hustlers. We worked hard for our money.
bad for Britain, for the taxpayers. It's going to be bad for the people of the Caribbean, who will learn to become addicted to free handouts from Western nations for into the indefinite future. So all around, this is a really
Guys,
bad,
can you
bad.
hear this? The guy is saying we want free handouts. What guys, this is appalling. This is, I have never seen the level of disrespect. The level of disrespect is appalling to me on this British podcast. The level of arrogance, selfishness, the level of them thinking that they are superior to us, that, you know, that is how these people view us, that we are beggars. We are not begging for something. We're not begging you. It is something that is rightfully belong to us. We are not asking you for handouts. But you know what? I blame our leaders, because our leaders are the ones that gave them that impression. I blame our leaders who continue to rely on these people and begging and going out there and begging them as though we're suffering here in the Caribbean. You know, I blame our leaders who continue to be puppets to these nations and giving them the impression that without them we cannot survive.
The idea.
And you said earlier that you think that these Caribbean nations and indeed other national leaders calling for reparations on slavery, they're basically hustling on the off chance they might get some money. As I say, what I'd like Britain to turn round, and they'll never do it because of today's sensibilities, I'd like us to turn around and say, listen, you can say this as much as you like. We will never, ever pay you because it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, I think we got to tell them that, you know, you can't guilt trip us forever. Not everyone's going to be taken in by this. We have a very good track record of dealing with problems from the past. 21st century British people have got nothing to do with slavery any more than 21st century British people have got to do with the slavery in ancient Egypt or in ancient Greece. For 4,000 years, there's evidence of slavery in almost every society. We cannot hold those societies today responsible for what happened before, what their ancestors did. And the very idea that you could even try this on indicates that there's something horrible that's going on culturally, because the reason why they're doing it and the reason why they feel so kind of confident that they can get away with this is because they know that many Western nations, Britain included.
Really? Really? I can't believe what this man is saying. Get away with what? Get away. It is you. It is you who did the injustice and got away with it. You got away. You were compensated with millions and even billions of dollars when you convert it into today's money. You got away with it. The inhumane treatment that our enslaved, I don't even want to say enslaved, but the inhumane treatment that our ancestors received, you got away with it. None of you to this very day, was brought to justice. None of you were brought to justice. So there's nothing for us to get away with. Get away with what? We have lost so much over the decades, over the centuries. All that we are asking is for reparations so that we can develop ourselves. The UK has come to the Caribbean, and I will end here, guys, because of time. But let me pull myself back up on the screen. The UK has come when they colonized the Caribbean, they left us underdeveloped. And today, many of us Caribbean islands are still underdeveloped. And they are saying that they are not responsible. Come on. Guys, this is the level of evil, injustice. This is the level of disrespect. This is what we are up against. This is what we are up against. The Jews got reparated. And some of them are still getting reparated. The Japanese, the Germans paid the Japanese how much and how much. They are being reparated. Hmm? The Chinese are being reparated. Huh? The Indians in India were reparated. The lands were given back to them. Everything was given back to them. But not the only people that was not reparated were the enslaved Africans. And today we are asking you, please, give us, reparate us so that we can develop ourselves. That's all that we are asking, so that we can develop ourselves. But no, Britain is saying they insist that they will not pay us. Guys, this is what we are up against. And that is why I say, as it's time for us, Grenada, or it's time for us Grenadians here in Grenada, it's time for us to break free from the monarchy. This is a new era. The world has changed. It is time for us to break free from the monarchy and drop this title of Commonwealth. Drop them. Cut ties with them. It's time that we cut ties with the UK, because they are not helping us. They are not for us. They don't see us. I have to say, most of them don't see us as human beings, because if you have seen us as human beings, you would have done the right thing. They don't value us as Black people here in the Caribbean. All they're about is power and control. All that they are about is themselves and building their image. That is what they are about. But enough is enough. A new generation of Afro descendants here in the Caribbean is rising up. We are rising up, and we are continuing the fight where our ancestors have left off, where our foreparents who have gone before us have left off. And we will continue that fight until the demands are met. Thank you guys for watching. Take care. God bless you. See you next time in the next video. Take care.